podcast. And I have a great pleasure today of speaking with Lori from our wonderful partnership over at Aura Salon Wear. Lori's with me today. Sid is still out raising that little tiny baby and the 1-year-old now, but I'm excited to talk to Lori and bring you more information about Aura, how we partner with them, why we work with them, and how this wonderful relationship got started. But Lori, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
We've been working together for a while now with Aura. How did you get started with Aura? How did you get added to this team? I would love for our listeners to know that about you.
So, I've been in the technology SaaS space, if you will, for salons for about 4 years. And I've been in the beauty industry for 20. So, finding my way in here, Aura has a partner company called Rosie Salon Software. So, I've been with Rosie for that amount of time. And Aura and Rosie have come together under one umbrella. And so
Right.
with that, I have then now started working with Aura and the team.
That's great. Why salons? Why, with technology, what gets you excited about the salon world?
It's the only industry I've ever been a part of as an adult, honestly. So I'm
Yeah.
pretty biased to it, and I let people know that it's absolutely the best. You talk to people in other industries, people in other industries, and you kind of hear about their jobs sometimes, and you're like, oh my gosh, how boring. And in the salon industry, it's different every single day.
Not boring.
It is not boring. It's a different haircut, different color, different client, different problem, different challenge, different outcome, whatever, every single day. So, and it's so uplifting to know, I'm not behind the chair anymore, but I did start behind the chair. But knowing what you contribute to other people's day or how you can
Yep.
turn their, life upside down, you can turn it around. People have different things going on all the time. So it is just very rewarding and I love it.
So you said you were behind the chair before? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I started behind the chair in 2005, and I was
Wow.
behind the chair, and then I was also managing salon at the same time. And then eventually, I tell people this, and I probably shouldn't, but I got to a point where I just did not enjoy doing services anymore. Like,
I think that's very real. It's a
I would
very real
I
feeling.
would be in the middle of balayage was not a thing yet. But I'd be foiling or blow drying, and I'd just be like, I just don't even want to finish this. And of course you do, but I was like, maybe I need to go pursue the direction of management and behind the scenes versus behind the chair. So that's what
Right. Well, it's interesting because I think what you experience is something a lot of people have experienced, and I think it gives
Mhm.
you insight on how to work with a company like Aura and what you're actually dealing with here. Because
Totally.
a lot of us experience burnout, right?
Mhm.
And that sounds like you got to that place where you're like, this can't just be it,
Mhm.
right? There's got to be the next thing.
Mhm.
So you started working with Rosie. Tell us a little bit. I'm sure people are curious. What's Rosie and how is it related to Aura?
Yeah, so we're two separate salon software management companies. Aura is really great. Obviously, Aura partners with DTH,
Yeah.
and the features that we have and the capabilities that we have that match the DTH methods are there. Where Rosie is really fit for more of an independent or a booth rental type of salon.
Excellent. And then they just kind of merged together recently.
So we're two separate companies. So we haven't fully merged, but we are
Oh,
under
okay.
one company umbrella. Yeah.
Got it. Now, Aura found us. And I always tell people that because I think it's an important, actually, a lot of our partners, now that I'm like thinking, I think a lot of our partners found us. We have always been out of the box, disruptive. We're always sharing our new ideas. And our biggest thing when Sid and I created Destroy the Hairdresser was how do we make sure that our message never gets muddied? Like we
Mhm.
always want to talk about new solutions, disruptive solutions. We want to break the rules. And so we kind of early on in our career, we've been doing this for 10 years now. The coaching part, I've been doing it here for almost 20 years. But during the coaching part, we kind of got to a point where we're like, we're probably never going to get sponsors. We're probably never going to have partners because we just say too many things that upset the status quo of the industry. So it's always a surprise when someone reaches out and says, hey, we listen to what you're saying and we actually have solutions for the things that you're talking about. And that's what Aura did.
Mhm.
Um, there was a nice gentleman years ago, I can't remember his name, that used to work for Aura. He doesn't work there anymore. That he kind of confronted us at an event and was like, we got to talk because this is actually really interesting. How, from the Aura standpoint, do you know how Aura at the beginning kind of heard about us and how we got into their ear?
It's a great question, David. I don't know
You
who.
might not know the answer.
I don't know that answer, but I do know what I can say about this is what I've seen the alignment between Aura and ETH is what you guys are coaching, we can provide the support to, right? So no
Yes,
tips, great. You want to be deskless, awesome. You want to do just
right.
e-commerce, fine, right? So like a lot of those methods we have in place. And the great thing about Aura is that it's not been around for 25 years. It's a little bit newer and built on a newer structure. So it's a little bit easier for us to be able to
Yes.
make those adaptations, those changes, and put in new technologies. So if you want to disrupt the industry a little bit, fine, we're here for that too, right? Like we can support all of those different methods in the business in the way that that owner wants to do their business. We're here for that.
You were the first company, Auras was the first company that has been able to do everything that we have talked about. One of the biggest things is station sharing, which we'll kind of touch on in a minute. But the thing that I've noticed, and I always tell people this, is I love partnering with you guys because you have active developers working on, and I think that's what you're alluding to when you say this isn't an old system
Mhm.
that you can't really update. This
Mhm.
is something that's up you update all the time. And
Mhm.
I think that's really important for people to understand when you're buying a software. The old school softwares, it's very hard for them to make changes because it's old systems, it's old data, it's an old operating system, all these things. But when you work with someone like Aura, who has developers, and I always send Olivia messages like, "Hey, can we do this?" And you guys like turn around and just do it.
Yeah.
That is, in today's world where life and trends and technology is changing at such a rapid pace,
Mhm.
to work with a company that is just able to take feedback and say, not only, oh, that's a great idea, we'll put it in the pipeline for 8 years from now, but to say, like, that's a great idea, we'll work on that right now. That has been the most exciting thing from my end. And I brag about that because I think salon owners need to hear this is not a company that hears you and isn't going to solve the problem. And to me, that's been a big shared value, that the feedback is important and that you take the feedback and that you use it because you realize these are our clients.
Mhm.
These are the problems, these are the struggles they're having. Let's create the solution. What have you seen just on the
Yeah.
back end at
Mm-mm.
Aura when it comes to like making solutions for salons?
So, first of all, thank you, and I appreciate you saying that
Yeah.
because we do truly listen to our customers. We are a team where we're very in touch and in tune with the need and the demand and what salons are going through, and we do truly want to take that feedback, and we do want to continue to enhance the product to match the needs of what our customers are looking for and what the industry is going through. And so yes, we don't put it into a pipeline for 8 years from now, but we do try to make sure that we evaluate the request that is coming in and try to forward think to, how is this going to impact other salon owners? How is this going to impact our program? How is this going to impact the end user or the salon's customers? And so we really internalize a lot of those things. And it is very important to us to make sure that we do continue to forward think versus kind of get stuck in this box and make sure that we are able to provide all of these things that, our industry needs.
Have you, like, when you guys get feedback, do you have like, I just like giving people a background idea of like what goes on at Aura. Do you guys like get together and talk about what salons are saying and what they need? Like, what does that look like as a company when you're getting all that feedback? Because as a business owner, we get a lot of feedback. How
Mhm.
do you guys, what does that look like when you receive requests from salon owners, just so they know, so for the listeners who are like, I use Aura, I'd love to know what they do on the back end.
Mhm. So we do have an internal sheet that we start, anybody can add requests, whether it comes from a show that we're at, a phone call that we're on, a potential new customer that is looking for something. And so we do document everything. So it does go into a list, but then we can take those lists somewhere and we can categorize them. Is it a product enhancement? Is it a new feature? Is it something, that's going to enhance something that we currently have? And then we really look at how often is this request coming in? Is it something that we're getting a lot? So we want to prioritize it. Then we also look at how long is this going to take to build this thing? Could we put a few things in front of it? Is it a very long-term project? Is it something that's going to return the profitability to our customers? That's something that Aura stands for really strongly. Is we want to make sure our customers are profitable and making a lot of money. And
Yeah.
so if we could have a feature that we don't have today that is going to return, your investments on things or help you drive more revenue into your business, we want it. We want our salons to be successful. So we really sit down, our product team, our customer service team, our sales team, and we take a look at these requests and see where things fit.
Is there anything when it comes to like industry innovation? How does Aura like what does Aura do to stay on top of things besides the feedback, which is always key? How is Aura staying on top of things, and do we see AI in the future? I'm just bringing. You may or may not be able to share things, but I'm just curious, like with technology at the speed of light at this point, how is that affecting the the innovation over at Aura?
Yeah. AI is definitely a part of the future for sure. Like I think it has to be for anything, right?
Yeah,
Everybody uses
you
it.
you can't not have it.
Yeah. So smart technology, AI, whatever you want to call it. I honestly, I think a lot of us sometimes look at AI and we don't even know what we're looking for. We just know that
Yeah,
we need it or want it. So I think
yeah,
really dissecting down like, well, what part of AI is important to you as a salon owner or as a service provider, and what do you need it to do?
right,
Because we do have things, we have Social Buddy for reviews, and we have pieces of smart technology that you could be using already, those smart automations that help you eliminate that task or the work that you're doing every day. But definitely, where we come up with these innovative things, for sure, feedback for sure. Some of the industry events where you get a lot of networking, a lot of salons that are talking about what's going on. But I think what's also important is salons sometimes tend to be the last in of anything. So
yeah,
looking outward to like, what is hospitality doing? What are they doing in
yes,
hotels? What are they doing in restaurants? Like the food and beverage industry, right? Those are huge. There's a lot of things that happen before us, and that if we can look at and borrow or adopt some of those ideas into our practices, and that doesn't necessarily just mean AI, but that means
right.
like from customer support, customer service, like the experience, and sustainability and all of those different areas. If there's other industries that are doing it already and doing it really well, like why wouldn't we want to include some
Right.
of those things?
You know, with the AI and technology revolution that we're living in, we're getting closer more to coexisting as employees and employers. And there's this level of autonomy that's kind of being enhanced in our industry where it's like, yes, I work for this person, but especially in salon world, I am still my own business in a
Mhm.
sense. One of the things I love about Aura is that you've built a system that can allow for more or less autonomy within a team. That was something that we couldn't find in a lot of other systems. A lot of other systems are on lockdown, like the team isn't allowed to access anything.
Mhm.
Um, some salons like that, right?
Mhm.
With Destroy the Hairdresser salons, we have this concept called the new commission salon, which is how do we how do we help people understand that there's nothing wrong with commission? Commission is not a culture, commission is a pay structure. But what's wrong with the idea of the old commission salon is that there's no autonomy.
Mhm.
And a lot of that was coming from who owns the client, who gets to book, who gets to reschedule, who gets to cancel. But then at the same time, you can't call out because if you call out, we have to call your clients. You've built a product that allows for, like I said, more or less autonomy depending on what everybody wants. And we're kind of pushing for more autonomy all the time. What do you see as the future with the industry from what you're seeing from a technology standpoint, from a software standpoint? Is the industry becoming more independent, or is it becoming, or are people coming back to commission? Are people looking for more autonomy? Are they looking for less autonomy? What are you seeing on your end?
Really good question.
It's a lot. It's a big question, but
Yeah, I think that it's truly all over the place right now, right? Like
yes,
full, like when you say old commission, those salons still exist. Like
of course,
they've
yes.
been around for a really long time. They've mastered how they do it,
And
and
when I
they're
mean
there for
old,
those.
I usually mean old mentality,
Right.
right? Yeah,
Yes. And those are still there, right?
yeah,
And there's still people that go and they work there, and there's nothing wrong with that. Those are fine. But I think the mentality of the new stylists or new service providers that are coming in, and like what you're saying, that want that autonomy, and I think it really depends on the business, right? So
yeah,
as a salon owner, what type of culture, what type of environment do you want? And what I see is when a stylist leaves a old mentality commission salon and they open their new salon, they have that idea of like, this is what I wanted. And if I could have had that in this business, I probably would have stayed.
yes.
However, I didn't get that. So now I'm going to create it not for myself, but then make it available for other people who want that, autonomy
Right.
also, where it's like, maybe you are commissioned, but you're going to be able to create your own schedule, or you're going to, whatever those parameters are. But when it is set up that way, I don't see it set up the exact same. It's not, like there are variations in that new commission type of business.
Well, I think that's the cool thing about Aura is that it can work. You can put it into any of those situations, and it can
Mhm.
grow and it can change. That was the other thing too that we loved is we work with a lot of, what we're seeing in the industry is that there was a big rush. There was an exodus to suites, right,
Mhm.
or rental. Rightfully so. It's a reaction to an industry that isn't changing fast enough.
Mhm.
But then what we're also seeing is that people are going to these suites, which are also great, but then they go, okay, now what? Like I built this, but now what? And what I love about Aura, because we're taking all those suite owners or renters and saying, now it's time to let's do a commission salon. And it goes against their brain because they're like, wait, I was trying to leave commission. But it's like, no, you were trying to leave what wasn't working.
Mhm.
Commission, when done properly, works really well, but you didn't like how it was working. What I love about working with Aura is that you can be a suite renter, use Aura, and then as you grow, you can expand with Aura. And I
Mhm.
and a lot of times there are softwares out there where it's just for renters, it's just for independent, it's just for commit. And Aura was the only one. Not that there aren't other programs that do this, but Aura was the only software where it's seamless and simple. And again, I think it's because you have developers and you're working on it all the time. That is what is so unique about it. Do you see, and again, I'm asking questions that you may or may not be able to share with us. Do you see from a number standpoint that there are more people going to rental, or do you see people coming back to commission? Like, do you see trends from your clients?
The commission salons are still growing. They are so,
Right.
and you got to imagine too, as much as new stylists or service providers coming out of school want to just be on their own and go straight into a suite, they often won't make it, right?
It's
Because
not sustainable. Yeah.
it's not sustainable for a brand new person right out of school. So we need those commission salons to help grow them. And if eventually they go, whatever,
Right.
but we still need them. So yes, it is still growing. The rate of students that are at school is up. Aesthetics programs are
Oh,
so high, thanks to Instagram and TikTok and all that, right? So
yep.
the rate of new students coming out is high. So where are they going to go afterwards? They're going to go to those newer commissions or even those old mentality commission
Right.
salons. But yes, those are still there. And I think the sweet people, as much as suites are still growing and people are still going into suites, people still want that sense of community. And so they're either doing it together in small groups of two or three, or they are opening their own commission salons.
Yeah, and I think you've built Aura is a software that was built for adaptability and change. And I think companies that don't do that they're not gonna survive the next 5, 10, 15 years because I mean, even Google is changing. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like everything that was set in stone before is shifting. And I think Aura is just genius because you're like, yeah, it's shifting and we're ready. Like we're ready for whatever shifts and changes come. And that's what makes me really excited about partnering with Aura is not only is the customer service great, not only are the students that we have using Aura happy, but I also feel safe knowing that you can keep up with what's going to come, and we don't even know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
think, and I think that's a big value, and I think that's what DTH really strives for, is like, we have methods, but we're also ready to change. If we need to change to make, it's about pivoting and surviving in a world that changes so quickly. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's a shared value
Mm-hmm.
that we have.
Yeah.
When, Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, when we talk about the shift of suites to commission to whatnot, something that just comes to my mind is salons are also using like paper appointment books. I
Yes.
don't know if you I don't know if you talked to any of these people.
It's very nostalgic. It's very
It is,
nostalgic.
and it's something where when you talk about keeping up and like being forward thinking, there's so many salons still that are like it's just reliable, and it's like, but it's not
It's
anymore.
not
You know what
really.
I
It's
mean?
not
Like
reliable at all.
you can't ask your paper appointment book, when did David come in last? And it's gonna tell you.
Right.
You are digging through pages, and you can't read your formulas anymore because you spilled your drinks on the paper. And so
Right.
like that's another piece
God
of
forbid
like,
you lose it.
oh my gosh,
Right?
yeah, your staple came out and you lost a page. Like, what do you do? But people are using it, and I think that is something for those salons that are still doing it. It's like when we talk about getting lost or getting stuck behind or not keeping up, you could take your business so far by doing three things in your software. Like if you had Aura and you just used like like the automation, the client
Yes.
communication, like just a couple of
The
those
bare
things
minimum.
would move your business miles, and then it would take that burnout feeling, that tired feeling, that stress, that workload off of you as an owner. So like when we talk about moving your business forward into like what's next, like we're talking about AI. Some people are like, AI, I'm not even using a computer, right? So it's like,
Right.
how do we get them to that next step? It's like just use something, like just go one step, two step, three step at a
Yeah.
time versus like trying to eat the whole thing.
Do you find that I always love asking this question because I think it's the thorn in software's side, which is changing booking systems, booking softwares is a nightmare.
Mhm.
It is a salon's worst nightmare.
Mhm.
It's not that they don't want to, right? It's not like if something's better, yes, of course I want it, but then thinking about switching it and getting all the data and then getting my staff like that is what you're always up against. How does Aura deal with that, and what have you put in place to make that process easier? Because I know that's the
Yeah.
biggest thing people don't want to deal with.
Yeah. And we fully understand that. Like, we know that you don't want to, they don't really want to because they're like, oh my gosh, it's going to be a task. I have to train everybody. What about all my information? Like, we understand that. So, by the time you get to us and you're like, I'm ready, we understand your pain. Like, we know that
Yes.
you are like at the fed up level of like, you're losing clients or you're losing information or whatever that pain point is for you, but you had maxed on your pain point for whatever reason that is. And now at this point, it's like, okay, let us just help you, right? So
Yeah.
now let us just, we'll set you up, we'll take you through onboarding, we'll make sure that you're trained, we'll make sure your team is trained, all of your information is here. You didn't lose out on anything unless you came from a paper appointment book, then it's a different story. But we
Yes.
want to make sure that we're helping you going forward. We're helping to alleviate the pain that you're feeling for whatever reason on whatever you're doing. So it's kind of like that last step. Like you've identified that you have something hurting your business, you're losing revenue or whatever it is. And by the time you get to us, it's like, let us, now we're here to help.
Absolutely. And that's that to me is whenever I'm talking about whenever I'm talking to someone about their booking system, you can just hear in their voice when you're like, we got to make a change. They're like, this is going to be a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
What, from my point of view, Aura has one of the best white glove transferring processes out there. What, just a little taste for people. If I want to switch to Aura and I'm using something else, what can I expect with that white glove approach? Like just to give people some ease if they're interested.
Yeah, we're gonna do a discovery call and we're gonna figure out what your business is like, and because every business is a little different, we're gonna
Yep.
figure out what exactly you need. We're gonna figure out what level you want to grow your business to, like where are you trying to get to. And then we're going to match some of the features, and we're going to know. So, like, are you a DTH customer? Do you need to share stations? Do you need to set up inventory?
Right.
Do you want to turn your tips off? What kind of processing do you want to do? What kind of terminal do you want? Do you want to, so we're going to do a full discovery on your business. We're going to figure out who you are as a company. And we're going to match to that. And then we're going to show you some things that are going to help you grow your business so that you become more profitable. And then we're going to get your account set up. We'll go through onboarding. You're assigned an onboarding specialist, and they're going to work with you on training. They're going to train your team. They're going to make sure you know how to use everything. We'll set a go live date, so you don't just flip the switch and turn it on and start using immediately. We make sure that you're comfortable, that
Right.
you know what you're doing, that you know how to check in and check out your clients. And then you set up your go live date, and then you still have an account manager from there on out. So we don't just let you go on your own, take the training wheels off. We're always there, and you always have an account manager for anything that you ever need going forward.
I think that's great. And for those that are working with DTH, or even if you're not working with DTH, but you use our methods, and that was the other thing is when people call and they say they're a DTH salon, is there a different avenue for them?
Well, our team is very familiar with the
Or
DTH
yeah, that's what I meant.
practices,
Yes.
right? So when somebody does let us know that, we know, what systems that they're going to want to set up, and we walk them through that, and we do make sure that we know who their coach is, or what is their coach prescribing to them,
Yep.
and we walk them through those methods. So yeah, we identify if they are. So if you're a DTH customer and you want to do a demo or on a call with somebody, just let us know, and we'll make sure that we have it all set up.
I love that. Obviously, if you listen to our podcast, Aura has ads all over the place with us. But if you are listening and you want that website, it is aurasalonwear.com/DTH, and you can get some promotional material there by going to that link. Make sure you check it out and you book a free demo, see if it's for you. But when it comes to the future of the industry, what is Aura setting out to do to kind of bring more of that technology? Like what's and again, if you can share with us, what's some of the plan that you have for the future? Is there anything exciting that we can expect that's coming up?
hmm we do have a full roadmap already. Nothing that I can like,
Oh no, okay.
nothing that I can specifically give to
I
you
know.
today, David. But we do have a roadmap, and we set it out for the year in advance, right? So we have looked at what's happening in the industry. What things do we want to include, such as, are there AI features that we want to build in that would be helpful? Are there current features that we want to improve on a little bit more? So there are some exciting things coming. We do have our team actively working on it. So please stay tuned and watch
Yes.
our social media or our announcements for new stuff coming.
Excellent. And I'm curious, by working with DTH students and just DTH in general, has this influenced Aura on the back end at all with development?
I think just knowing and understanding your methods, right? The DTH methods, knowing that there's a large audience of people that are open to being disruptive, that are open to doing things different or against the norm or the way that they were taught 15 years ago. And I
Right.
think that's amazing, because if everybody was doing the same exact thing, it would be kind of boring, right?
Right.
So when you're open to doing those things, it helps us to keep our eyes open to knowing how to pivot or what else might be coming.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I think working with DTH has helped us to just keep our awareness open and being open to how new salons are coming in and new providers are coming in.
That's great. I mean, that's again, it just goes back to why this partnership works because, like I said, we never wanted to work with people who would tell us what to say, right? And I think that's a lot of podcasts out there in this industry or coaches out there in this industry. Not that it's anything wrong with it, but they tend to lean towards selling products, selling those things. And it was Sid and I were like, we don't want to sell something. We just want things that work. And that's what I feel like is great with working with Aura is that I don't feel like I don't feel like I'm selling Aura to my students or to our listeners. I'm like, this works. This is what you want for the foreseeable future. It's going to work for you and it's adaptable. So even if you are with DTH for 10 years and let's say all of a sudden you don't want to be with DTH, this is still adaptable to whatever you decide to do next, whether you have 20 employees, one employee, 8 locations, one location. That ability and that flexibility, I think, is is just so important in today's world where you don't always know what your future is going to look like. I mean, hairdressers always have never really known what their future is going to look like. And even more now, there's so many options. The world's in a weird place all the time. So having something that's just easy and movable and adjustable like Aura, I think that's what makes me excited to get people signed up for it.
Mhm.
Now, the world is obviously going more inclusive. It is trying to, there's a big movement in the world right now between, the Eurocentric salons, the Black community with salons, Afro textured hair, Eurocentric hair. How does Aura support salons that are becoming more inclusive? Like, what does that look like from a software standpoint?
Yeah, I think what you were saying about the adaptability and the customization is really that, right? So
Yeah,
the way that you want to name your services, the service times, the client app. So your online booking is very customizable. You can put your
right,
own branding, your own image. So it's very much your own. And I think those things help to create that
right.
for each salon for sure.
Yeah, in our world, again, old software doesn't support that type of customization
Mhm.
and sometimes doesn't support the proper language. And in the beauty industry, hair types, trend, the names of everything change so
Mhm.
drastically. You have to be able to change those things. So
Yeah.
keeping up with not only what the industry is experiencing, but also the verbiage and technical terms of how we're using things is very important. So again, having the ability to make those changes successfully and easily, another reason why this partnership
Yeah.
works so
And
well.
that's one of those examples too of like maybe you do want to shift your entire business. Maybe you're
Right.
coming on new to DTH and you want to switch to hourly pricing and you want to, make all and you want to station share and you're coming from a old way of thinking type of mentality. Like we are there for that. That is part of our white glove services. We want to make sure we'll help you shift those things and maybe you were using Aura before and now you want to change them here. So we'll help you set those things up in your account so that you can continue to evolve with the demand of your clients.
Exactly. And the last big thing I want to touch on was station sharing because I know I mentioned that I was going to come back to it. Station sharing, just for those who don't know, the idea of station sharing is that for every chair, DTH teaches you should have 2 to 3 hairdressers. So if you have 4 chairs, you should have 12 hairdressers. The old mentality is one person per chair, everyone has their own station. And what we found the issue with that is you can have a full team and yet that team is not busy and then as a business owner you're trying to get these people busy and it's just not happening and your business is slowly failing. And what we teach is that with station sharing, nobody has their own station. Everyone, it's like co-working, right? And that's where the concept comes from is you're coming into the salon and instead of thinking this is my station, you're thinking where am I setting up? And I know that can give people some anxiety, but the reality is it allows the salon owner to hire more people than chairs so that they don't get stuck. I have a full team, but I'm not busy enough to make money, right? And
Mhm.
that's a very real
Yeah.
situation. What was that like for Aura on the back end? You guys created one of the easiest, most successful versions of this that we've ever had, which is basically you can hire as many people as you want. They put their schedule in, and Aura books whatever chairs of it. It does all the math and the timing, but beyond how perfect Aura makes that, what was that like on the back end of Aura? Like, what did your team think about this station sharing idea when maybe you first heard about it?
I think a lot of times we think from the owner's perspective, right? And what
Yeah,
that can do. So, like, absolutely, if you have 4 stations and you only have 4 service providers, you could totally be losing out on revenue.
right,
When you look at the mentality or the picture from the service provider's perspective and also what the service providers are asking for in the industry today, like that are not I can never even say the word even anatomy, right?
Autonomy.
Autonomy. Thank you. Okay, I avoid the word.
I get
Um,
it. I get it.
when they want that, this helps with that also, right? Because not only can station sharing, if you have three service providers on one chair, it's like, okay, well, David, you're not busy today, you don't have to come in.
Exactly.
Where if you don't have that station sharing, it's like, David, you don't have any clients for today, but you better be here in case somebody walks in, right? You can't leave early and don't think about coming in late. You sit here for the full 6 hours that you're scheduled, right?
It's a waste of everyone's time.
Totally. And then they feel sort of trapped. So, like, when you have the perspective of the service provider, it's like you book it, you service it, and this is where you're going to be. And also, how many times do you hear service providers of like, oh, so and so took my cones, my clips are missing, my water bottle is empty, my barbicide is dirty, right? Because somebody else was using it. When you are station sharing, you eliminate that also, because like you're packing up
Exactly.
all your stuff at the end of the day, and then you're bringing it in with you, and you are responsible for your own supplies and where they're listed. You're not just leaving them out.
Exactly. Exactly. I know people listening that have never heard of station sharing are like that. It's hard to wrap your head around. Number one, I want to say whatever questions you have, we're here to answer them about station sharing. But also, please know that we have taken every question into whatever question you have, we've already answered. So know that station sharing is a scary idea, but it's such a smart business idea once you understand it. And then it was funny when Aura came to us and said, "Hey, like you teach this thing called station sharing," which was really where this partnership. This is kind of how it started. It was talking about station sharing, and it was like we have a technology that can do all that calendar work and mapping for you. And when we heard that, I honestly, to be honest, I was like, no, they don't. There's no way they've figured this out. Um, and it is so seamless. I got to be honest, it's so seamless that no one thinks it's going to work.
Mhm.
Everyone I talk to is like, so I can just put their schedule in and I just have chair 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and Aura will do the rest. I'm like, yes. And they don't believe it until it starts to happen. But it's because we're so used to having to micromanage and like,
Mhm.
okay, well, you want what day off? And then I gotta, how is this person gonna be able to work? Like we're always trying to map it out ourselves. Where I think when it comes to this AI idea of like, how can AI help us? It's things like this that we don't have the brain power to
Mhm.
micromanage this. And
Mhm.
a computer can do it in 3 seconds
Yeah. It's
or
a winning
less.
world, right? Because the service providers are happy. They're working when they have clients. The salon owner is happy because the chairs are always filled. And
Yep.
the client, too, when you think about the client, if I'm a client, I walk into a salon with six chairs and I'm the only one there.
It's weird.
It's kind of strange, and you just see service providers just sitting around. It's kind of uncomfortable unless you walked into a suite or something.
Yeah.
So from the client perspective, they feel good when they walk into a six-chair salon and there's people other than them there too. So think
Correct.
about that experience that you're offering them as well.
Do you see the methods of DTH not only really working well with Aura, but do you see how like from your perspective, do you see how this helps people make more money?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Because that's
absolutely. It
I,
it's changing your way of thinking though. So like I said, if I've been in this industry for 20 years and behind the chair, so things were totally different 20 years
yes.
ago, right? But if you don't constantly think differently, if you get stuck in those one-way tracks of things,
Yeah.
then your business will never improve or grow or change. It's going to be kind of stuck. So yeah, when you can get your mind wrapped around the idea, see how it works, try it out, do the
Be
things.
curious. Be
Yeah, be
curious.
curious. Thank you. Yes, be curious about how you can do those things, because it doesn't have to flip your entire business upside down. Like, and your service providers could be more happy. Like, it's just a winning world. So, yeah, definitely be curious about it and see how it works.
I like a winning world. I love that. That's exactly what this partnership is. I have to say, no one has worked as well with us ever as much as Aura has. And I think it's because you are so focused on solutions and you're not focused from my experience with Aura, no one on your team is focused on why you can't do something.
Hmm.
Like there's never been, oh, we can't do that. And whenever there's something that we want, it's like we can do this, this, and this. And
Hmm.
I for all the salon owners out there, you need people like that on your team, whether it's software, coaching, product, whatever it is. We need to work with people like this that are there's no no. It's just
Yeah.
how do we do it, and that's
Yeah.
been a pleasure working with Aura and having that
Thank you.
experience.
Yes, we try very hard for that. So thank you.
Lori, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast. Again, Lori, tell people what you do at Aura, because a lot of us know Jean from some of the webinars we've done, but what do you do at Aura?
Yeah, we are very lucky to have Jean. Love her. So I'm our director of client partner relations. So I work with all of our partnerships, such as yourself and Sid. And then strategic clients. So I work with our clients a lot on sort of what are they doing? What are the successful things that they're doing? And these are sort of those conversations that we find out through like DTH coaches and salons of like, how does this station sharing work for you? Tell us more, right? And how do
Right.
you highlight and share that with other salon owners? So I work with a lot of our strategic clients on different initiatives and all of our partnerships.
That's amazing. So again, I want to say thank you for coming on. We will have you on again. And I know you have a whole roadmap of the future, so we'll have a lot to talk about in the future as well.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Thanks, David.
Thank you.
Bye.
That was great.
Good.
You feel good?
Yeah. Do you?
Awesome. Yeah, I feel like we covered